true nuclear war were to break out, true nuclear war, which is the nuclear war that most people are afraid of, everything would be launched all at once from all nuclear bases to all programmed targets. This is something most people don't understand. Every nuclear missile is pointed at a target. The target can change every few hours or it can change every few days, but they're not all pointed at the same target. They're pointed at different targets because the assumption is that if there is an all-out nuclear war, everybody's going to blow up everybody else. So we might have, let's say there's 300 missiles pointed at 70 different targets. Once the dials turn, everything goes. And everywhere else in the world, the assumption is when they turn the dials, everything goes. So it really is like the 1980s doomsday situation.
We talked about this on the show with Annie Jacobson, and she said as much. Essentially, like the ones that are in the ground, like the ones you were controlling, they're use it or lose it, right? So they launch just as soon as the launch is detected against us, because those are probably going to get destroyed by whatever's coming in a few minutes, whether it's detected or not.
When a ballistic missile is launched at the United States, the Department of Defense's very technically advanced satellite systems detect that launch within a fraction of a second initially. We have a policy that you're asking about, launch on warning.
So those get launched. I guess maybe the submarine ones are later in the game because they can survive pretty much anything.
And then you have air-launched as well.
So those are, how are those launched then? From airplanes?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So you have, there's what's called a nuclear triad. And the nuclear triad is air-based nuclear weapons, sea-based nuclear weapons, and then ground-based nuclear weapons.
Okay.
The underground nuclear warheads, the ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, those are your ground-based of the nuclear triad. But then you have B-52 bombers and other stealth bombers and large-scale bombers that are waiting at all times on alert, so that if a launch is detected, they can quickly be scrambled, loaded up with nuclear warheads that are live, a pin gets pulled, and now they're weaponized, and then they take off. And their whole job is just to loiter, which means kind of fly circles in the sky until all the fallout is done, and we see what targets were destroyed and what targets weren't destroyed, and then they can be directed at those targets.
That makes sense, because I was wondering, if everybody's launching at everybody else, and you're like, oh, well, this one's going to Pyongyang. Well, Pyongyang has been gone for 45 minutes. Why would we launch anything else at that? Hit Novosibirsk instead or whatever. I don't know.
That's exactly.
I mean, hopefully none of this happens. Like, it's nightmare. I mean, everybody, you want to die early if there's nuclear holocaust. That's what I learned from Annie Jacobson.
And I mean, that's the exact conclusion that I reached when I was in that field. I mean, in that career field.